That's a liberal.
It's like saying, would you rather have wine or water?
Wine, a half inch means a lot sometimes.
Nobody likes to eat crow. Right.
Now I'm starving.
How much is the economy today? It's that much.
Pumpkin latte sucks, and I want to speak to your manager.
Objection, hearsay. Objection, leading. Objection, hearsay.
Where is that woman when Biden speaks?
Get the hell out of here. His name is pronounced Joni. And that's the end of it.
Hello, darling.
My camera's dirty.
Get some Windex. Put some Windex on it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Right Stuff. We're so happy to have you.
I just look bad today. It's not the camera.
It's not. It is. Are you? Am I dark? I don't have light in the right place. You're not dark, am I?
No,
Oh,
a little bit.
You look good. Well, I'm sorry if I'm dark. I didn't fiddle with my. Let's see if this works a little bit. No, we'll fiddle with it later. Otherwise, forget.
Welcome to the most organized podcast ever.
Now, all you see is reflection in my eyes. Well, talk to people, Jennifer.
Well, I'm just letting you know we can't run late because my other half didn't eat today. So I must be downstairs when he gets home from work.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, you can always leave. You leave me all the time. What's this?
Oh.
We have Beer Nut with us. How are you, Beer Nut? Thank you for watching us on Rumble. And your grandmother, who is getting very prophetic. My two heartbeats.
My grandma. And while you're all here, please go to my Facebook page and vote. I'm like in 12th place. There's only 2 days left. You got me this far, and now no one's voting. Thanks.
Everybody's voting, Jen. It's just that there's a lot of people voting. You know, the people that got there were equally as, had as many vote people as you do, So, and unfortunately, we squandered all the ask money at the beginning. So now, who knows? But everybody vote. Today's 2 times voting. So, you get 2 for 1. Hi, Kevin Young. How are you? And hi, Billy Nolan. How are you? And Lucille Chabone. Debbie Lebedo. Mick 40. How are you? Ralph Rubinik. Colleen. How are you, sissy? Okay. Oh, Vito must be here because everybody's saying hi to Vito. Hello, Angela. And Vito is correct.
No, Vito, meaning wait, I thought they were talking about.
Remember last week there was a guy, Vito, or the week before, and everybody kept saying Vito's correct.
I wasn't here the week before.
All right, that's right. Oh, that's right. It was with me. Yes, we had a whole Vito thing. Everybody was correct. Okay. Cookie is with us. Hello. Cookie's been voting for you, Jenny.
Thank you, Cookie.
I voted. I tagged 135 people. That is the way.
They're going to hate you.
Yeah. Yes, vote. We like voting. When we vote, we win.
It's 2 seconds. That's all it takes. I'm not asking for anything much.
Right. And there's no money necessary. I thought it ended, so I haven't been voting. Oh, no.
Every day for 2 days.
Yes, Jen missed the correctness. Hey, Louie, how are you? Good to have you. Okay, so, wow, what a week. Crazy week. I didn't know where that we should start. The Hunter Biden pardon, the lies from the left. What's going on? South Korea, martial law.
That's gone.
It was there and it was gone. But, he declared martial law because his assembly wouldn't agree with him. He said that they were putting up challenges to all of his proposals. So to get back at them, he just declared martial law, and they overturned him. How freaking stupid could you be?
Well, he's gone. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's gone, but he's disgraced. That's for sure. I know, the Koreans have interesting customs when they're disgraced. So I wonder what he's going to do.
He took back his word, just like Biden took back his word. So
Yeah, I got it. Pardon. Okay. So Lucia wants to talk about the pardon. So let's do it. Okay. Remember when Joe Biden said this about Hunter?
To the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
he doesn't know many decent people, so that's not saying much.
Well, if Hunter is decent, he can.
Decently cracked out.
So he said he wasn't going to pardon him, but guess what he did, Jen?
Pardoned him.
He pardoned him. And not only did he pardon him for the crimes that he was convicted of, he pardoned him for 11 years, going back to 2012. So that anything that happened when Joe Biden was vice president and Hunter was involved in, no charges could be brought because he's already pardoned. That's interesting. It's an interesting concept that
it was a political hunt, but these things happened way before any of this started happening, suing people and blowing whistles.
Well, but you understand he's trying to put a stopgap in.
Yeah, so that he can't get in trouble either.
But that's not how pardons work. The whole reason for pardons is to try and bring the country together, and they were utilized for political like political enemies, like after the Civil War, right? Those who fought on the side of the Confederacy were considered insurrectionists, right, and traitors. So you had to use a pardon in order to keep the country together and reincorporate them into the country. These pardons are being used as a very interesting way to protect his family. And this is after, and then he goes on to say that his own Department of Justice, he believes his DOJ is corrupt. But he didn't fire anybody.
But they weren't corrupt enough when they were doing everything to Trump.
Right. So think about this. Trump
Same
was
people.
saying,
Did he pardon the turkey this year, or was it just Hunter?
Yeah, he pardoned.
He was on a roll. He didn't know what he thought it was the turkey, maybe.
He pardoned the turkey, and he pardoned one for
It's like, and you get a pardon, and you crackhead, you get a pardon.
Yeah. So he pardoned the turkey, and then he pardoned Hunter, and but yeah. So think about that. I mean, he literally pardoned him to protect himself from any prosecution for any wrongdoing that he might have had during the Obama years. 16 comments. Wait, hold on a second. I get all carried away with this. All right, hold on a second. Where are we?
They're all about the pardon. They're nothing. No one's asking questions.
No one's asking questions about the pardon?
No, they're not asking. They're just making jokes and saying the same thing we're saying.
Oh, okay. I'm glad he pardoned Hunter, so now we can get on with pardoning the January 6th people. 100%. 100%. You bet that's going to happen. And that's the correct use of a pardon, right? Because supposedly they were insurrectionists. And so to keep the country together, you would want to, reinsert them into the fabric of America. So disgusting. There were underage girls on that laptop. What a disgrace to the justice system. Well, listen, he thinks, Merrick Garland is still sitting there. So, any future shit. That's exactly right. Ferndale Avenue crew must be deported. Okay, we got you. Crime pays for the Biden. It certainly does. Let's talk about the Lautenberg Amendment, which gave felony convictions to millions of Americans with no trial or due process. You want to talk about that here? You have a clip, or you want to explain it? I don't have,
That sounds
another
like
hour.
a very long conversation.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't pardon him for any future crimes. He did. That's the whole thing.
No, future.
Yes, he pardoned him for anything that has occurred between either 11 or 12 to now.
No, that's not future.
Oh, I'm sorry, future.
That's-
Sorry. Well, I don't think you can pardon for
No.
future. Sorry. Yeah, I misread that. I don't know what was in my head. Sorry. Good comment, Coach. No prosecutor for Burisma, China, Moscow, blatant abuse of power. Absolutely. He sadly will spiral in spite of daddy. Well, let's see what happens. I mean, daddy's going to have to give him a boatload of money. Because now think about it. They're not going to have all that money coming in anymore, right? So now there's going to be a real food fight in the Biden family for all the cash. Because remember, granddaughters, nieces, his brother is the mastermind of that whole thing. And Hunter was the face of it. So there's going to be some really interesting shit going on in the Biden family.
And we know no one's asking him to go speak at colleges because
Who's going to feed the kitty?
we've heard him speak.
Yeah. Well, that's the truth. Go ahead, Jen.
Income.
Imitate him speaking at a college.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that I'm here. Whatever.
you know that thing. That thing that gives us all our rights, that thing. Yeah, exactly. Trump should unpardon Hunter. Yeah, I don't know if you could do that. You know what? I think Trump would have pardoned him. But he would have only, and I think that's why they met for so long. I think that Trump was planning to pardon him, but only for the gun charges and the tax evasion charges. I think that Biden was trying to get him to go.
You never know if Trump maybe told him, you know what, you go do it instead, so I'm not hated.
Yeah, he might have done it. He might have pushed
He
him.
would have done it just to show that he's not an ass. Because I think that this term he's going to prove everybody that said what he's going to do, he won't, and what he wasn't going to do, he will, to show everyone that they're wrong on the left. I think he'll spend that cleaning up his image so that he could be another Reagan. But I'm sure he told him, you know what? You do it. Don't worry. You're leaving office.
That's a really good point. A really, really good point. Yeah, you're probably right. I wouldn't put it past him to do that. I don't know if Biden will still pardon Trump because, well, first of all, Trump hasn't been convicted of a federal crime, so you can't pardon him. But it looks like he's winning his case in New York to dismiss the charges for the
real estate, the inflation.
Right, for the Tish James case. So that might go. And he pled guilty. Yeah, he did plead guilty. I agree. I hope that Penny is found not guilty, because if Penny is found guilty, nobody is safe in New York. Just think about that, because there will never be anybody. Is all you'll ever see, worse than you do now, are phones, up in the air if something actually happens.
And the jury was supposed to be off tomorrow, but they asked to come in to deliberate.
Oh, really?
They did. Well, Mr. Kniff is a friend of ours. He's the lawyer.
Uh-huh. Oh, he's Penny's lawyer? I didn't
realize.
Oh, does that mean he's running?
If he wins. Hopefully. So we'll find out tomorrow, maybe. But
there's Vito. Vito's right. Former U.S. Senator Frank Lautenberg is a Nazi sympathizer and is burning in hell as this very moment. Well, thank you. I'm glad to have that report from hell.
Who's Vito?
He's always right. So, and he's the reporter from hell, because he knows what's going on in hell with Frank Lautenberg. I need another apple cider. I think Trump made a deal with Biden to pardon his son, because now everything else is going to get done like Trump's cases in the January 6th people. I hope you're right. All right. Well, anyway, so this is a long clip, but I thought it was interesting. I wanted to show it to you because, frankly, just listen. This CNN is really good. Watch.
We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation, it's transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He is going to leave off. You think 38, 39% job approval is bad? Just you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced today. Outrageous.
You don't need to, but Scott, you don't need to hurl names and say people like me are brain rotted. Come on, that's a little beyond the pale, even for you, Scott.
Listen,
I disagree. We can
for
disagree
yourself.
about
You don't
this,
have
but
to
we don't
defend
have to
this.
call
He's
each other
leaving
names.
office. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to die on this hill. You can say this is wrong because
I'm
everybody
fine
knows
with
that it
it,
is.
Scott. That's why I'm
It's
defending
wrong.
it.
Are you
Karen?
fine with the lying? Are you
I say
fine
good
with
for
him
Joe
sitting
Biden.
before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right thing for him and for his family. Period. Full stop.
So he lied.
He's sorry, lying.
He said it
not
twice
lying.
and then he did it. So 2 times. He's a double liar.
I don't know what happened to that clip. It was a much longer clip, but I think it worked out just fine. Yeah, so I mean, here's the Democrats dying on that hill trying to defend him. I don't think he was lying. I just played you the clip of him saying, "I will not pardon Hunter," and then he pardons Hunter. Why? What happened? What changed that all of a sudden we're going to pardon him? Explain yourself. No, to say that his son never got a fair shot, to say that his son was politically persecuted, to say that his own DOJ was coming after his son without him actually firing the DOJ. I mean, really, he already destroyed his legacy. So what was he trying to protect? What?
All anyone had to ask him was if it was anybody else that pled guilty to these crimes, would you think they should be let out of prison?
Yeah.
That's it. He was convicted. He
Right.
pled guilty.
Right. How about if it was Donald Trump? If it was Donald Trump that pled guilty to these crimes,
Yeah.
would you have pardoned him? Come on.
Or remember that lady that was in the dressing room 30 years ago with no
Yeah,
cameras and wanted to
E.
make
Jean
out with
Carroll.
you, and now you have to give her $100 million? You remember her?
Yeah, Eugene Carroll. Oh my God, I can't even. It's ridiculous. Okay, let's see. What do we have? Boneless chicken. How did it walk? Oh God. Hello, I had a problem getting on Facebook. Hello, Howard. I'm sorry you had a problem. Facebook is really sucking lately. We're gonna have to move platforms. Maybe Biden will pardon himself for getting us into World War III. Well, Trump will pardon Penny. Trump can't pardon Penny. Penny is being held on a state charge. You can only the president can only pardon those convicted of federal crimes.
And he won't be convicted anyway.
Hochul can pardon Penny if he's convicted. Vito is correct. How can anyone who was convicted of a misdemeanor 50 years ago become a felon overnight? Yeah, because it's all a political ploy. They only wanted to get it out there so that the American people wouldn't vote for him because they thought that we are as stupid as the people that follow them. As that woman in that clip, Laura, who was defending Biden, saying he didn't lie. He just changed his mind. Changing your mind is not a lie. Okay, got it. We'll remind ourselves of that. I want to hear anybody say that Donald Trump is a liar about anything. And we're all going to say he just changed his mind. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Everyone, CNN is brain rotted. I love that term, brain rotted. I agree. And the people that watch it is also that we're starting to get brain rotted because there's never anything there. That's one stupid lady, really. Vito, you are correct. I'm going to ask President Trump to pardon over 1 million people who were made felons by the Democrats. Yeah. What changed is Trump won. Yes, exactly. Biden says the hunter was politically persecuted when Joe's own U.S. AG Merrick Garland. Yeah, we talked about that. I'm sorry that you missed it. Listen
on Facebook sooner.
Listen to a pig named Whoopi Goldberg and justifying the pardon. Yeah, good. Thank you, Vito, for putting that up. Ralph, Trump was right about everything. Yes, he was. Hunter was a domestic abuser, and turns out that Doug, what's his name? Kamala's guy might have been one too. A lot of interesting stuff that went on that nobody talked about in the press. Thank God Trump lost in 2020 because these past years showed the world what's really going on. You know what, Dad? You're right. Absolutely right. And that is why we won. You're absolutely right. And you know what? If Trump would have won with the Democratic Congress and House and Senate, that would have been bad news. It's good the way things went. Okay, so tonight's show is called Border Babies, but there's so much stuff going on. Let's see, all right. Oh, why is this over here? All right, this going over here. I want to just remind you of what the Democratic mayors, Democratic mayors and no governors, Denver, Chicago, New York City, what they were saying in 2020, early 2024. So here we go. Watch.
We have this international crisis that really requires federal intervention that local government is being asked to subsidize. Local government is not designed or built to handle such a crisis.
Definitely both a humanitarian crisis for the migrants that are arriving, and it is creating a fiscal crisis for the city.
I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
In 2018, New York City spent roughly $258 million to fund its immigration services, adjusted for inflation. By fiscal year 2023, the city had spent $1.47 billion servicing those seeking asylum. The city of Chicago spent over $194 million on its new arrivals mission since October 2022. Denver is estimated to have spent between $36.3 million to $39.1 million on migrant support services in 2023.
The three biggest items for expenses for new arrivals is housing, education, and healthcare. And they're all three high-ticket items.
The idea that we could have a generous system of welfare benefits from health to education and so on, and allow the entire world to access those benefits is just mathematically impossible. So we're starting to see the math not adding up in state after state.
The sheer volume of newly arrived migrants is a major reason behind the city's struggles. In fiscal year 2022, just over 817,000 new cases were filed in immigration courts across the U.S. That number exploded to nearly 1.5 million new cases the following fiscal year. The particular background of current migrants also plays a role.
The secret sauce of migration has worked in the past is that people would come and they would not depend on the city and state for settling them. They would depend on their social network. It seems in this case, many of the people coming in are coming where there are not such inbuilt connections. Venezuelans which is the largest source of nationality of the new migrants. It's particularly true that they don't have inbuilt connections. Venezuelan communities are long standing. So they therefore, in the absence of private source of comfort for them, then they become dependent on the states and the city.
Well, first off, the money is being spent, because if the money isn't spent, then we're all dead, because what happens when you have absolutely no means? You kill, you rob, you rape. So to protect us, the number, what they did to spend just goes to show that there's contracts out there of each city's friends. Hey, hotels, food. Here, inflate the cost of the food for the migrants. We were paying how much? $400 a night in a hotel for them?
$210 a night.
Why not? Yeah, $210 a night. Why not guarantee? Why couldn't they spend $99 a night and guarantee those rooms be kept for X amount of times, where the hotels didn't have to worry about the maid
Because
service.
spending $99 a month a night would not make any money for the hotels.
Well, no, if you don't need daily laundry, you don't need daily maid service, you don't need a lot of that stuff. You don't need to worry about advertising. You don't need to worry about getting people through the door. Then your overhead costs are cut.
Okay, but your premise is all fundamentally flawed.
Well, I'm saying that these politicians also have ins with their friends to give them inflated prices.
Yeah, but if Biden didn't let it happen.
Oh yeah, that I know already.
But that's the whole basic bottom line. By allowing the migration of these people, it has destroyed these cities. The question is, as always, why? What happened suddenly that this migration happened? Now, I want you to know that I want you to take a little look. This is horribly chopped up. But this is Sweden, and I want you to see what happened in Sweden. After it's Sweden, where the people are the happiest people on earth. So look at what happened to Sweden by being magnanimous with their migration. Watch.
The Swedish welfare state is world famous. Sweden's quality of life, public health, and educational performance rank amongst the best in the world. They have relatively high equality rates and low poverty rates, and they consistently rank amongst the happiest people on earth. At the height of the migrant crisis in 2015, Swedes showed incredible compassion and opened their country. This led the number of asylum seekers to increase substantially in the mid-2010s, but that's where it went wrong. They disproportionately ended up in poor neighborhoods, where over the years, parallel societies emerged. First and second generation immigrants are now 9 times more dependent on government welfare, and almost half of them is unemployed. Immigrants are often segregated in poor communities. In the most extreme cases, like the Stockholm suburb Rinkeby, nearly 90% of the population has an immigration background. This led to social exclusion and in turn to gang formation. Last year in September, Sweden had a record number of monthly fatal shootings. It started with the murder of a 58-year-old woman in Uppsala, who turned out to be the mother of one of Sweden's gang leaders. The police suspected that his former partner commissioned the attack, and the two gangs have been at war ever since. The leaders of these gangs live in Iraq, Lebanon, and Turkey, and they use apps like Signal and Telegram to recruit freelance criminals. An apple emoji means throwing a grenade, a water pistol, murder. Copenhagen lies just a bridge away from Sweden, where gang-related crime has been spiraling out of control.
Sverige ska bli bra igen.
This led in 2022 to the first right-wing government to be elected since the 1930s. Sweden and Denmark in recent years were polar opposites with regards to immigration policy. Denmark was unusually strict and wanted to do the bare minimum, whereas Sweden had some of Europe's most generous asylum policies. But Sweden's new right-wing government is taking a U-turn, and they're looking at Denmark for inspiration.
Vi ligger i praktiken 10-15 år efter Danmark.
Well, it's like inviting your family over for the holidays. You count how many seats you have, and that's how many people you invite. And that's it.
The question is why? Why in Iraq, Turkey, Lebanon? Think about this.
It's votes. They want to make them citizens for voting.
Well, it backfired on them, right?
Of
because
course, but they're always backfire on them.
Poland, Italy, Sweden, they all got far right, hard right governments because of this migration stuff. So, I mean, at some point, right, somebody's got to say, "Oh, this didn't work,"
because it's that dumb. They are
Really?
literally that stupid.
So you think that is just they were trying to get people to vote?
They were trying to get them as citizens in here to wipe out the right population.
I think it was more nefarious.
Then they become dependent on the government. When you're dependent on the government, because the Americans and the citizens of the countries are starting to learn that the government's no good. But to these people, letting them in, The government is God. They're everything because they have nothing else.
Yeah. Well, I think that Ralph is
They
right.
didn't realize that all these criminals were going to come in. Venezuela have been saying it for
Oh, they absolutely realized it. That's the whole thing. If you destabilize a nation, then you can easily take control of their government. So who wants control of our government? Who wants these European nations destabilized? These European nations with democracy are a thorn in the sides of authoritarian, totalitarian regimes. So who is that? Russia, Lebanon, Afghanistan, China. This is, these are dictators that want to destabilize European governments, because if democracy in the broad word, right, democracy, voting rights, human rights exist, then people want that, and they push their government to get that or to do that. But if there's nobody doing that, then dictators could live very happily for many, many years. That's the whole thing, and this is really nefarious. This is widespread. I have a few more. Good evening, ladies, and the migrant crisis must be dealt with very soon. It's too late. They just arrested a Chinese national who came here on a student visa in 2012 and was supposed to go home in 2013. Still here. Got arrested in 2022. We don't know why, but was let out again. And the only reason that he's now in custody is because he was buying weapons. He was buying war weapons and information. And the people that he was buying it from snitched on him to the federal government and the FBI, CIA. Turns out he was spying for North Korea. He opened up a business in North Korea, and Kim Jong-un gave him $2 billion for it. Think about that. It's crazy. Jen is always correct. She's always correct. They're getting kickbacks. 100% they're getting kickbacks. And I guarantee that those idiot generals, what was it? Silly Millie was getting plenty of kickbacks too. That's why he left all that shit in Afghanistan. That's why he said to leave all that shit in Afghanistan. I mean, really, you're not going to fly it, put a tank of gas in a chopper and fly it out to a place so that it's secure? No, we're going to leave them all there. Are you kidding me?
It's like the 20-year-old Generation Z mentality. Like my son, when he moved out of his dorm room with his brand new sheets and comforters and everything, he left everything there so he didn't have to pack it.
Yeah,
and I had to buy all new stuff.
if only it was that simple. But if he was selling it to the Taliban, then he got the money.
Well, knowing
a
my
nice
son,
secret offshore account.
He probably did.
Yeah. Yeah. The illegals did destroy those hotels. And you know what? They're never going to recuperate, because now that's New York. That's New York now. And that, I mean,
Miami recuperated and now it's back in the gutter, but they recouped after 1981. In the 90s, it was
like
fantastic.
this, Jen. It was in 1981. It was not like this. It has never been like this in my 61
Well,
years.
before the Cubans, it was they were from
Haitians.
The Haitians, and then it was the Cubans.
Cubans first, then the Haitians, then
the Haitians were before the Cubans.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Whatever the situation is that it was never like this, ever, where the government was flying people in using an app, making them all legal immediately, and then settling them in all over the country to form gangs.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, yeah, they came here with gangs already formed. Now, the amazing thing is that we couldn't give them working papers, and that's another thing. You want them here to become, but you can't give them working papers when they get here. You refuse to do that so that they can work legally. Why?
Once you do that, once you give them working papers.
But I understand that. But what I'm saying is, once they got here, then there was the fight of, no, we're not giving you working papers right now. It's going to take this amount of time. So why? So that they're depending on the government. They're depending on the funds that are given
And
to
each
them.
state is different, right? As far as whether you can work or you can't work. But this was a free for all. If this was, we have immigration policy in the United States. And as that other gentleman rightly said in the video, it's dependent on your social network, your family, people who are going to take responsibility for
And
you.
it should be, if you commit a crime, a huge crime, then the family that brought you in is also going to be charged with the crime. See how easy that's going to be, bringing your cousin from Venezuela in.
Yeah.
You get prison
It's
for
not
1
happening
year.
anymore,
If your cousin
though.
commits a crime
The
like that,
sponsorship's
1
not-
year, the family goes to jail too.
Yeah.
1
Well,
year.
Sponsorship isn't happening. They had one person sponsoring all of these thousands of children who I'm going to get something up soon.
But how is there even sponsorship when they're not even checking the papers at the border?
Right, well, because that's right. They're just flying over the border. They're coming in on planes on the CBP.
You're coming through
border.
backyards in Canada now.
That's been going on the whole time. Deb, I want reparations too. Get a lawyer and let's sue. Sweden is most not correct. Yes, Sweden is a mess. And that's the bottom line because Jen said so. That's right, Howard said. They want Islam worldwide. Yeah. And they want Americans on their knees. They want all of Europe and anything from European descent on their knees. Open borders never work. All these Hollywood people that were leaving because of Trump, I bet you they all got visas and all their paperwork in together so that they could leave. And meanwhile, they're leaving because Trump wants to do mass deportations. Yeah, I mean, give me a break. I can't. Europe got rid of their Jews who developed economies, and now, yeah, you're right about that. Jen is very correct. Hey, do the political leaders have that short memory that they don't remember themselves welcoming the illegal, screaming, "We are sanctuary city," but that was only in their own mind? Absolutely. Bobby, that's exactly, they can't remember that. They thought it was all a joke until they realized how much money it was going to cost and that Biden wasn't going to give it to them. I think it's about destroying nationalism to bring in the globalist NWO. I think you're right. Probable influence effect on some. Jen is the EF. Agreed, Letitia. Look what happened in the UK. Okay, let's look what happened let's look what happened in Ireland. This is interesting.
It's out of control. Where else could it be out of control? Taoiseach Simon Harris faces increasing pressure to crack down on what is going on. When is this arrogance from politicians going to disappear? It's not going to disappear at all. They've got this confidence, and this is, I mean, I don't know if this is European law that's being upheld here, or this is exactly why people in this country wanted Brexit, but this is unbelievable. 5.5 million people in the Republic of Ireland, nearly 2 million in Northern Ireland, and 20% of them no longer identify as being Irish. Why? Because they're not Irish, they're not from Ireland.
Yeah,
it's out of control. Where else could it be out of control?
I did something very wrong here tonight. Some of my clips are bad. Oof. Well, all right. 20% of the people living in Ireland are not Irish. Think about that. I was getting hinky thinking about 1% in America when it was 3 million people coming over the border. But if we're at 20 million people over the border, we're almost at 10% of the people in America not being from here or not being citizens. Yeah, that's pretty interesting and pretty scary. But I mean, look, the thing about Americans is that people are from all over the world because that's how we've always been. Everybody from all over the world. But to have people have 10% of people, we have no idea where they came from, who they are, what they did or didn't do. That's scary. Because that's an enormous amount of people to have in your country, and you have no idea who they are.
And I think we should all sue Joe Biden for the pennies that he's going to have left.
Yeah, you could. I don't think you can't sue a president, but you could sue Congress. I mean, but the best way to do it is to get rid of the swamp and get in, into Congress of people that are willing to do something. I mean, we started to do it. We started to turn things over, but we kept a lot of old ones. And I don't mean just Democrats either. I mean Republicans too. We need to get rid of the freaking swamp. It's just enough now. Vietnamese were in the 70s. Okay. Watch the documentary Cocaine Cowboys. Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's see. You need working papers to cut grass. Well, you know what? The biggest problem is that American corporations and companies are hiring people without papers,
and
so
away from the people with papers.
Yeah, I mean,
all they had to do was do what I said and put them all in Rikers Island to clean up the jail cells so that we could put all the criminals back, and everything would be humane.
You're right about that. Oh, Canada, 51st state. Ew, 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 ew. Wow, those peeps are tall. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? Keep the illegal immigrants, deport the Democrats and liberals. At least we know that they work. Term limits, single item bills. Yeah, convention of states, that's what we got to do here. All right, that was so here's what France did ahead of the Olympics. Watch this.
Police in Paris have removed hundreds of homeless migrants from a squat in the city, which is believed to be the biggest in France. More than 400 migrants were believed to be living in the camp to the south of Paris. Some human rights groups have questioned the legality of the eviction. This is the latest in a series of operations to clear camps used by migrants in and around Paris, which will stage the Olympic Games in July and August.
Come on, Jose, clean up your shit. You're not playing soccer in the Olympics this year. Let's go.
No. You're not breakdancing either. Let's clean it up. Same way as Newsom cleaned up California for Xi, right? Get all those homeless out of there. We got to clean it up for the Chinese dictator. I can't. After the Vietnam War, they flew a whole bunch of refugees in, was thousands of them. Yeah, I remember that vaguely. I was a kid. I really didn't follow that politics that closely until like 68, till the Nixon election. All we are saying is give weed a chance. I don't know, Billy. I'm wondering if you're into the weeds a little bit. Okay, here's what happened in Italy.
Driving one after the other, dinghy boats form a steady line as they approach the coast of Lampedusa after a journey across the Mediterranean Sea. The island is the first port of call for many people fleeing from northern Africa as they attempt to make their way further into Europe. But the tiny isle is overwhelmed by recent arrivals. Over the course of 24 hours, around 6,800 migrants disembarked from 120 boats. That's a few hundred people more than Lampedusa's full-time population.
They're never going to leave. They're giving them pasta and garlic bread. You're not supposed to do that. I'm surprised they didn't have the fettuccine wheel. We give them microwave dinners. They're giving them fettuccine bowl pasta and homemade raviolis. And then they want to complain why they're not leaving. And now they're all going to be fat, too. So now they're all going to go on Medicaid and have strokes and be overweight. Good, guys. Way to go, Italy. Supposed to give them canned food. Some expired frozen Salisbury steak. That's how it goes. I mean, at least we did that. They complained, but guess what? What's that?
I don't know. I said that too. I was like, shit.
Do you want penne or rigatone? Do you want penne or rigatone? I can't even. Oh my god.
Well, soon after, though, they elected a far right president for Italy. So
you go to Mexico, you know what you get for dinner? Your brains blown out onto a plate.
Dogs and cats. Somebody wrote about the dog and cat song. Who wrote about the dog and cat song? Oh, I can't even.
Bare minimum, Italy. Bare minimum.
A jail cell should be classified as a tiny home. Then the illegals that are still here after Trump's term will have a home. That's a great idea, McForty. We could start with Rikers Island, like Jen rightly said. Okay. Not since 1978. I got you, Billy. I know. But, yeah, exactly. Why don't we train migrants to form military takeover of their home country for them to go back? You know what, Ralph? That's where I was going with tonight's
But there's
show.
no government to give them anything when they go back. So
No, listen, Sweden is offering $34,000 a piece to any refugee that went to Sweden to go back to their home country. So when I saw that, I'm saying to myself, now, why would they do that? Because they left because of quote unquote political persecution, right? And so they have refugee status. So what, $34,000 and you can go live in poverty again? It doesn't say that you can't ever come back to Sweden, but they were trying to clear out Sweden. But
a week just to support one in New York. So go ahead, do it.
I was thinking, why isn't NATO or why doesn't the World Food Organization or whatever, why don't we get an army together and freaking take out their dictators that are causing them to starve to death or not have freedom?
That's true.
And annex those countries.
When was the last
Venezuela.
time you heard about Venezuela recently doing anything? I haven't seen them on the news.
Venezuela is terrible.
You hear it's terrible, but I don't see it every day on the world news.
Well, why would you see it every day?
If it's so bad and they're persecuting,
he persecuted his political opponent and put her in jail.
Okay, I understand that.
Oh, sounds like Biden.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly.
and then the U.S.
We're not fleeing the country.
Then the U.S. sanctioned them for that.
We're the only government that will give you an inflated amount of a huge amount of money to come here and live with us. It's like breastfeeding. We'll breastfeed you for life.
No, Sweden did it too, and look what happened to Sweden. And Denmark. It seeped from Sweden into Denmark.
But who the hell wants to go there and hang out with a bunch of Swedes? They want to come here where there's a cesspool of all different.
We don't even allow the Swedish to come here. Where do you? Billy Nolan wants to go to Sweden.
Australia has
to the
right.
other countries.
No felons are allowed to move there. Is it Australia? Yeah, no felons.
Forget Australia. Who the hell wants to live in Australia? Talk about a dictatorship. Holy shit.
They don't have any migrants, I'll tell you that.
they don't have anybody. Remember during COVID? They have camps. They have concentration camps in Australia. Oh, please, I can't. I've never been.
They don't have migrants, and no one had COVID.
Right. Well, neither does Korea or China or Russia. None of them have migrants or Iran.
They don't give their own
Iraq
people
or
stuff. You think they're going to
Afghanistan.
give them to people that came across the border? No.
Those are the countries people are trying to escape from. Oh my God, I can't even. All right, we talked about Italy. We talked about France. Oh, Poland now. Watch Poland.
Pour passer d'un pays à l'autre, ce Congolais a dû franchir une barrière de métal en écartant les barreaux grâce à l'aide d'un premier passeur.
C'est l'Égyptien qui nous a amenés ici. Il nous a traversés dans l'eau. Il a ouvert avec le cric. Dans la nuit.
Il doit maintenant trouver un moyen de contacter un second passeur pour continuer sa route vers l'ouest.
Tu veux aller en Allemagne, c'est ça?
Oui, c'est mon pays de rêve. Je dois partir. Au lieu de rester comme ça, c'est pas bon.
Pour continuer sa route, il doit joindre son frère, rester au pays.
Oui, je te comprends, mais on peut pas appeler le Congo parce que c'est tracé immédiatement dans cet endroit-là.
Pour ne pas être accusés de trafic de migrants, Anna et Mateusz ne peuvent pas aider l'homme à poursuivre son voyage. Ils ne peuvent que lui fournir de la batterie pour son téléphone, des vêtements et quelques vivres.
He was very lucky because he's in good condition, never bitten. We are still afraid of him because he can meet some soldiers or border guards, and then he will be pushed back to the Belarus again. During pushbacks, authorities very often beat people and just frighten them somehow. Also broken their phones and taking from their food and water. Pracuję w ocaleniu od 3 lat. Około od roku jestem menadżerką zespołu działającego interwencyjnie na granicy polsko-białoruskiej. W dużej mierze ja się nie przyznaję tak naprawdę do mojej pracy. Bardziej trzymam to w tajemnicy, zwłaszcza na początku znajomości.
I love how these people have no money, but they have Verizon bills that are paid. With roaming, severe roaming, because they're in the middle of the fucking woods in another country.
I want to know.
FaceTime my brother.
I want to know. What do you do? Look in the phone book under smuggler? I need a smuggler. How do you find the smuggler?
Yeah, there's an app for that.
I need a smuggler. Is it on Angie's list?
Jackrabbit. I need to be smuggled. Can you come? I'm in the woods, and these nice people are giving me pasta. And they have garlic bread. Come fast.
I'd like to go by way of Italy, please. I can't. Oh my God. Big great photos minus score. Yeah. No Australia.
I'm afraid, but I'll let you put me on a documentary that's going to go all over the world and on the right. Not a problem. And I'll let you know exactly what I'm doing. I'm calling my brother, Jose Rodriguez Martinez Javier.
Oh, I can't. No quarter, no giving, right? I can't. Bone smuggler. Oh shit. 1800. I Is that toll free? Oh, I can't. Oh, my stomach. I can't. This is crazy. How do they figure it out? Political persecution. But we got Nikes, we got phones, we got the numbers of smugglers.
They were traveling. You know what the funny thing is? They were traveling through the Rio Grande for how long? And their phones were still on when they got here for months.
For months.
And they still had service and a phone. No one shut it off. You missed 2 days on Verizon, your phone's off.
Right.
You're not making calls to any smugglers. There's no apps. There's nothing. 911. That's all you can call. 911.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
And their batteries were charged. How did you?
I don't know how their batteries. I don't know how they got phones. They are they're politically persecuted. They have no money. They're poor. They're coming to the United States for freedom and money and work and whatever. Where'd they get the $1,700 phone and the ability to charge it? I mean, really.
I mean, they are iPhones. Maybe they got them from China. Maybe they gave it to them.
Oh, Jen, there's something way more here. There are answers to these questions. There are answers, and they're out there, and we need to get them. Because
listen, poor people here that are going through it pick up cigarette butts off the street and smoke them. They
That's
don't
right.
have phones.
That's right.
They eat poop. They eat
That's
dogs.
Right. And many of them are veterans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and play this. I don't know if this clip's gonna work. Let me see.
Of this agreement, and this is from March of 2021, my brothers and sisters. This was a policy decision to step away from the strict means by which these children were monitored and controlled. And what it was replaced with was this sponsor care agreement There's nothing to this. It's 3.5 pages, 2 pages of nothing that the criminal networks can easily take advantage of. So we have now delivered hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children to unvetted sponsors that have enslaved them across our country. Ms. Hopper, you have done some brilliant research on the connection between trafficking, human trafficking, south of the border, and as it networks into our country. Please expound upon what I've been discussing today.
Thank you, Chairman Higgins. You're correct. The terrorists, the cartels, sorry, the terms are interchangeable to me. They do know our policies and the 94 actions that were rescinded upon the new current administration coming in. And they actually do use our programs and the manner in which we process unaccompanied children against us. They actually use Border Patrol and refer to them as migrant Uber.
So in my 3 minutes I have left, I'm gonna, very complex issue, trying to break it down in little pieces, but I'm gonna ask each one of you very succinctly, tell me, what would you do that would be quick and effective to stop sex trafficking? Mr. Carroll, few words, couple of sentences.
Yes, sir. In order to stop child sex trafficking coming across the border must be closed.
Oh, I was listening.
I thought you were eating pasta.
I wish. No, I gotta go though, because I will be.
Okay. Well, you gotta go. You got 4 minutes. You don't have. You gotta go. Go. All right. Go. Here's our last clip, and these are the same governors that were complaining about the border before, giving it to Trump. Watch.
California Attorney General, if Trump attacks your rights, I'll be there. If Trump comes after your freedoms, I'll be there.
The freedoms we hold dear in California are under attack, and we won't sit idle. California has faced this challenge before, and we know how to respond. We are prepared to fight in courts, and we will do everything necessary to ensure Californians have the support and resources they need to thrive.
We're not going to bend or break or cower to someone's threat. We're going to stand up and unite around our shared values, and they have my assurance that I'm going to protect the families of this city.
Mayor told Denverite the city would resist efforts by federal officials to deport immigrants. More than us having DPD stationed at the county line to keep them out, you would have 50,000 Denverites there, Johnston said, comparing it to a Tiananmen Square moment with the Rose and Gun.
Locals said the more than 220,000 migrants who have made their way to New York City since 2022 are here legally because many are seeking asylum and have pending cases. At least 58,000 of them are staying in city-funded shelters. The city signed a 3-year, $220 million agreement with the Roosevelt Hotel in 2023 to rent out every one of its 1,000 rooms for $210 a night.
Governor Jen Psaki, you've said that you're not going to help with Donald Trump's aspirations to do mass deportations. I think there are a lot of people out there who are happy to hear that. What can you specifically do to stop his efforts moving forward as once he becomes president?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, as you know, it's unlawful. You can't use the military. You can't do mass deportation. So any federal administration, you should expect states, and I think you should expect some bipartisan support, not just by the Democratic governors, is that violating the Constitution and the law, we're not going to do that.
They've been violating the Constitution for the past 4 years. In fact, Nancy Pelosi ripped it up.
That's right. That's right. I want to know why she thinks mass deportations are unconstitutional. I would just like us to have one Democrat who's elected to have, other than what's the guy that just left? Oh God, I love him, from West Virginia. Oh God, can't remember his name. Anyway, I just like them to have an understanding of what the Constitution says, because most of these elected officials, both Democrat and
Right to
Republican,
bear arms.
Yeah.
Now we definitely need to bear arms
Free
because
speech.
all of the people you're letting in are bearing arms. And
right, free speech, especially hate speech, because that's really what's protected by the Constitution. Nobody needs to protect flowery speech. Hate speech is what needs to be protected. You know, the right for people to human rights, that would be good, instead of saying that we need all these immigrants here to mow our lawns. It would be pretty nice if the Democrats actually understood that all men and women are created equal. But I don't know. I digress. You got to go. All right. Love you. Anybody have anything else? All right. Bye.
Bye.
See you next Tuesday. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.